Dear Professor Golan, dear Professor Ziv, dear Ambassador, dear Shira from the National Tempus office here in Israel and colleagues, distinguished higher education reform experts in the Tempus partner countries. As the responsible person for the Tempus program in Brussels, it is also obviously a very great pleasure to welcome you and to extend a very warm welcome to all of you to this first thematic seminar that is taking place in the framework of the Tempus program here in Israel. First of all, obviously, I would like to thank the Holland Institute of Technology, Professor Golan, for hosting this event. I would like to thank the Tempus office for all the big effort that has gone in the organization of this seminar. And obviously, I would also like to thank the UNICA network of universities, our long-time cooperation partner in the implementation of this activity, for having made all this possible. The seminar that we're going to have today and tomorrow here in Israel, in Tel Aviv, is a first, in a sense, in two perspectives. First of all, it is the first event, the first regional Tempus event that is taking place in Israel. As you may know, Israel joined the Tempus program. We used to refer to the Tempus program also as the Tempus family. Israel joined the program just in 2008, and is, in a sense, Tempus has been existing already since 22 years. So Israel is, in a sense, a newcomer to the program, and I'm particularly pleased that this is really the first big event that is taking place in this country. And secondly, the seminar is also a first, because it's the first thematic seminar that we're organizing where we are putting higher education reform experts together, not on the basis of their geographical origin, so putting together experts coming from the Western Balkans, as we did last year, coming from Eastern Europe, but where we put together decided to put together experts, higher education reform experts, on the basis of a thematic issue, on the basis of a priority, on the basis of the priorities that you have been indicating. And this is why, for the first time, we have now a seminar that is basically gathering the three of the four main Tempus regions that are covered by the program. So we are obviously here in the southern Mediterranean with Israel, but we have also participants from Eastern Europe and Central Asia that are here with us today. I think that the theme of the university enterprise cooperation has been particularly well chosen. I do not need to explain to you why this theme is particularly important. I think it is high on the agenda of all the EU member states, of all the member states of the European Union. It is high on the agenda, on the political agenda in your partner countries, and it is definitely also very high on the agenda of the European Commission in Brussels. I think that we have already had in the framework of Tempus over the past year a lot of very good experiences in the framework of this priority issue, and we are certainly looking forward to receiving many good projects in this area in the future as well. I think, Professor Golan, it has been a very wise choice of all of us to have this seminar take place in this very particular institute. I was reading, obviously, a bit about the Holland Institute of Technology before coming here, and I was really impressed to note that this is really one, if not the top institute here in Israel for engineering, for science and technology, and that you have also a very impressive, I have to say, track record in promoting this type of cooperation with the business, in academic entrepreneurship, and in placing really the cooperation between academia and industry at the forefront of your activities. So I think it has been a very wise choice of the organizers to come here and have the seminar hosted here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the program, you will see that we have tried to make it the most interesting possible for you. The seminar over the next 2 days will have a very practical approach. It won't be about theory, it won't be about theoretical considerations about the topic of university enterprise cooperation, but it will certainly be something, a hands-on experience. As we say, we will visit really places where you can see how this type of cooperation is being organized here in Israel. We will listen to practitioners of this type of cooperation, and I think that this will certainly allow us over the next 2 days to have very fruitful exchanges. I think that Ambassador Stanley already mentioned some basic features of the Tempus program that you all know very well. Tempus is about institutional cooperation, it is about modernization, and it is about reform, and it is certainly, and this is one of the most important basic features, it is about a bottom-up cooperation. So it is not us in Brussels from the European Commission, from the European Union, that would set out a very rigid framework where people would need to say, would need to do what we are saying according to a certain political agenda. But it is a program that lives with the initiative and with the ownership of academic staff and of administrative staff in universities. The seminar takes place in the framework of our support activities to higher education reform experts. It is an activity that the European Commission has been establishing quite recently only actually. These teams of experts exist since 2008 only, so the last 4 or 5 years that this activity has been existing, and we in Brussels, we have just extended our support facility, our cooperation with the UNICA network of universities in the European Union to provide training, briefing and presentations to all of you. I mentioned that this is the first thematic seminar that is taking place now, gathering 3 out of the 4 Tempus regions, but obviously there are other seminars to come. We will have in July a seminar that will take place in Armenia and the Caucasus, another one at the beginning of next year in Lebanon, and then to close this cycle of thematic seminars, another one that will take place in autumn, most likely next year in Central Asia. So one support that we will be making, one type of support that we will be making available to you are these thematic seminars. But on top of that, and that is a novelty, inside this support to the higher education reform experts, we have set up a new instrument, a new tool, so-called study visits, where again you will come together as higher education reform experts from different countries, from different regions, and where you will have the possibility to visit, to do case studies, case visits, I would say, in European Union universities. And we have just had 3 weeks ago a very successful first event in this direction that took place in Vienna at the University of Vienna, where you as experts were really able to look at issues relating to the autonomy, to the financial autonomy, to the institutional autonomy of universities in Austria, and in particular at the University of Vienna. Otherwise, we will continue over the next 2 years with the usual support that we have been making available to you in terms of technical assistance missions that you can ask for, that you can request, and certainly also we will continue to organize big conferences where you will have the possibility to come together with the experts and with Bologna promoters from the EU member states. And last but not least, the electronic web platform that we have been making available to you over the past years will continue as well. So the system that we have been putting in place since 2008 is basically that we try to provide you with a platform for discussion, with a platform for training, and with a platform for exchanges. And our objective is obviously that you, once you go back to your home countries, to the Tempus partner countries, that you act as messengers, as multipliers, and as ambassadors, and that you try to brief your peers and to present the new aspects that you have learned and that you have been listening to, that you present those aspects and the new things that you have been learning in your countries. Ladies and gentlemen, some elements about the political background against which the seminar is taking place. As the ambassador has also mentioned, the EU has been reinforcing very strongly over the last years the cooperation with the neighboring countries, and one very visible sign of this reinforced support is also that the European Commission is investing more and more in human resources, more and more in people-to-people exchanges, more and more in academic cooperation. And it is not just a pure lip service that the European Commission has been doing in this area, but the increased priority to academic cooperation, to people exchanges, is really reflected in funding allocations that have been operated in Brussels. As you may know, for the call for proposals that we launched last year in October, for which we have had a deadline this year in February, and for which the selection decisions will be taken in July, the overall budget the overall budget on the European Union side has been increased steeply from 50 to 95 million. So it has almost doubled, and it has especially doubled for the countries in the eastern and in the southern neighborhood, for the countries which are represented here in the meeting room today. And obviously you can imagine that in times where all politicians just talk about austerity and where politicians talk about saving money and spending less, increasing a budget of a program, doubling a budget of the program from 50 to 100 million is something which is really a considerable sign and which is really a reflection of the priority that the Commission is allocating to this type of cooperation. And that has been reflected as well, the increased funding has been reflected as well in the number of proposals that we received in February this year. We got almost 700 proposals, and that corresponds to a 1/3 increase with respect to the number that we received last year. And the perspectives for this type of cooperation are very positive as well. The increased budget that we had for the present call is not a one-off exercise, but it is something that will definitely continue. And I'm actually very pleased to announce that the next call for proposals that we will launch under the Tempus program that will come forward in October this year, that will have once more a budget in the order of 90 million. So we will stay more or less in the same dimension in terms of the budget. And that means that all of you, when discussing with your peers over the next 2 days here, that whatever project idea and initiative you may come up with and that you may have in mind, you will certainly have the possibility to put forward a Tempus project in that area. And it is obviously needless to say that university enterprise cooperation is a structural part, I would say, of the Tempus priorities as they are defined at national and regional level. It is one very explicit priority. Please talk with your peers here and discuss with your peers any new project ideas that may come up during the next 2 days will certainly be able to find their place in the next Tempus call that we will, as I said, publish this year in October. Looking beyond the end of 2013, so looking a bit more in the future, the European Union will have, as of 2014 until 2020, what we call financial perspective. So it will be a new programming cycle, basically, for the EU support and for the EU cooperation with the whole world. And the Commission, together with the Member States and also together with the European Parliament, is now discussing these new financial perspectives from 2014 and 2020 for the next 7 years, for the next programming period to come. And obviously, this new programming period, these new perspectives will have an impact on the Tempus program as well. For those of you that have been following the discussions and the debate, as of 2014, there is going to be a new program that will incorporate Tempus in the future, which will be called Erasmus for All, so an extension of the Erasmus program that has been existing so far for the European Union to all sectors of education and also to the whole world, geographically speaking. And the good news actually, which is linked to this new program, is that definitely the type of cooperation activities, so capacity building, support to reform, support to modernization processes in the partner countries, that is going to be also a priority issue for consideration under the new program. So I think we can all be reassured that whatever we are doing now in Tempus will also find its place in the future program as well. And if we look at the financial allocations that are proposed by the European Commission at this stage, I think that we can be quite optimistic that we will continue more or less with the same funding level that we have had until now. And maybe if we have some good chance and some good opportunities, it might even be more. So the good news is that definitely this type of cooperation under Tempus will continue in the future beyond 2013 as well. So ladies and gentlemen, once more to say that we are very pleased that this seminar takes place in Israel, in one of the countries that have just recently joined the Tempus family. I'm very pleased that the Tempus higher education reform experts from 6 different countries are represented here today. As I said, the agenda is definitely a very interesting one. We have really done quite a huge effort together with the Tempus office and the Unica Network and the Holland Institute of Technology to make the program as nice and as attractive as possible. There are really excellent high-level speakers on the agenda. We have invited 2 experts also to join us from the European Union, one from Belgium and another one from Italy. So I think that we can look forward to having really very good presentations and briefings and discussions over the next 2 days. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I wish all of us, and I wish in particular you, as higher education reform experts, very fruitful and very intense debates over the next 2 days here in Israel. And once more, to conclude, my big thanks to you, Professor, for hosting the event, and also obviously to the Tempus office for having made all this possible. Thank you very much.